If the New York Knicks called offering Karl-Anthony Towns for Anthony Davis, what does Dallas do? Plus, what's the cost of not tanking this year for the Dallas Mavericks? On today's Locked On Mavs.
This is Cooper Flagg, and you're listening to Locked On Mavs.
I think that's a good question. Good morning, Isaac.
You are Locked On Mavs, your daily Dallas Mavericks podcast.
No one's dying.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Still can't.
Your team every day.
I'm going to give a city like back.
You are Locked On the Dallas Mavericks. This is one of your hosts, Isaac Harris, covering the Mavs for the last 10 years alongside my good friend, Nick Angstead. Thanks for making Locked On Mavs your first listen of the day and for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcasting network. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com. Riding solo today, Nick is traveling back from family stuff over the holidays and just doing a solo episode before we get this Denver Nuggets game as the Mavs are in Denver. And coming out of that little LA stretch there, went 1-1. Let's go. Beat the Clippers, lost to the Lakers. Now they get Denver, one of the better teams in the Western Conference, coming up on Monday night. But one of the things I've been wanting to talk about, honestly, over the past week and even after the Clippers game, because got multiple comments about, should Dallas is going for it. Now we've seen the potential of Cooper. Now we've seen the Mavericks win. Seen one comment is like, the tank is dead. And there's still a faction of the fan base right now, even though the Mavericks are 6-15. That's like, hey, AD's just getting healthy. Kyrie Irving has yet to play this season. He's going to be coming back at some point. Cooper's getting more comfortable out there on the floor. They can make a run for it. I've seen a lot of people throw out the play-in. Like the play-in is just so many games away. They can make the play-in and still make this season happen. And I kind of want to talk about that of like, what's the cost of going for it, of saying, keeping that mindset and going for it and not selling off pieces, but also what's the cost of the other direction too, of if they do tank, what's the cost of tanking this year and losing these games. But first, I want to talk about Anthony Davis. And last week, Ian Begley, he's covered the Knicks for so long, and New York sports, I should just say that. But anytime he says anything about the Knicks, I'm always listening. He had different updates about Jason Kidd over the offseason when Kidd was entertaining. Kidd and the Knicks were flirting with each other. But hey, Jason Kidd said that he was never interested. He was always he was committed to Dallas, never interested in taking a New York job again. So, But Ian Begley tweeted out last week when talking about Anthony Davis, he said, I'm sure the Knicks would at least check in with Dallas if and when Anthony Davis becomes available. You may scoff at the idea, but the Knicks want to win a title this season. If Dallas is offering Davis at a below market cost, I'm sure the Knicks will at least give the move some thought. And that just sent a lot of people running with it of like, all right, how could they pull off an Anthony Davis trade? Pretty much the only feasible type of trade that you can pull off is an Anthony Davis or Karl-Anthony Towns. And, I kind of just threw out the Knicks a long time ago because in order for the Knicks to make I threw them out as far as like a possibility, because in order for the Knicks to make a trade, they're capped at that second apron too. So they can't go over it, and they're really dang near close to being at it. And so for Dallas, which is the same spot as Dallas, so for them to make a trade centered around Anthony Davis, then it's got to be Towns, which Towns makes really similar of a contract to Anthony Davis. And you got to be, down to like under $1 million to make this work. And I think they could make it work. They could throw a minimum contract in there with Towns to send for AD, to where it basically just be an AD for Towns swap. And in theory, that could work. Some of you might, find some loophole in the CBA and scream at me and tell me why it's not working. But I want to talk about just the idea of that swap just for a second, because I've had some people throw that out towards me of DMs or this tweets like, hey, what do you think about swapping Towns, AD? Would you even do this? And why would the Knicks do it? So when you look at them both as players, Anthony Davis is 32, about to turn 33, next couple months, I think. I should have that in front of me. Great homework, Isaac. Towns is 30, so a couple years younger than AD. When you look at their contracts, AD is making 54 this year, 58, and then a player option a couple years from now at 63. You look at Towns, he makes 53 this year, 57 next year, 61 player option a few years later. So really, really similar contracts. And you're like, all right, well, why would the Knicks even entertain this? I honestly don't think the Knicks would. I think that they would just probably hold their ground with Towns unless there was some weird like chemistry stuff. I've never been the biggest Karl-Anthony Towns fan. I don't own a lot of stock on that island, stock or property on that island. Got to get my analogies right here. But you're like, hey, why would the Knicks do it? Because Towns is a really good scorer. So you're not really doing it for scoring because Towns is a better shooter than AD. You would be doing this primarily for defense. Towns does get targeted on defense. He is not good at all on the defensive side of the ball. I will point out too, his shooting percentages, although he's only, he's just 18 games into the season for him. His shooting percentages are down so far. His 3-point percentage is at like 33, which is really low for him. I think it's under 45% from the field, which is low for him. So his shooting efficiency is down so far to start this season. So if you like combine that with like lack of defense, but the Knicks have a good record right now. So I'm just like, I don't think the Knicks would really entertain it, but you never know. So for them, it'd be taking a swing on, hey, we believe AD is going to be healthy. We want to become an elite defensive team and pair AD with OG and Bridges and Hart and Mitchell Robinson. And he gets to play the 4 next to Mitchell Robinson still. So that would be their case. If you're Dallas, Towns plays out, like he doesn't miss a lot of games for injuries, and he's a better shooter, and he's 2 years younger. So, if you're Dallas and you're like, hey, he doesn't accomplish one of those like 3 things that I'm going for. I've been saying this whole time, if you're going to trade Anthony Davis, I think you're looking at 3 different things. You're looking at clearing up future cap space in the next few years. I think you're looking for a draft pick, 2 draft picks. Hopefully that would be awesome. Or you're looking for a really good young player, some like young prospect. And if you could go into an Anthony Davis trade and say, hey, can we get 2 of these? Can we get 2 of the 3 of these things? When it's swap with Towns, you're not really getting any of them, right? Towns is already 30. Same money as Anthony Davis. You're not clearing up any cap space. You're not getting a draft pick out of it. He's not a young prospect in that. So you're like, what's the reason of doing it? I think I would still probably do it, right? Because he's actually going to play and you can't suck next year too. So this is like kind of a one year thing of like, hey, if we're going to be bad this year, then you're going to be bad. And then next year you're kind of like in a little win now mode because you don't have your control of your pick for the next 4 or 5 years. So I think I would do it just because of the injury history and the shooting. I think the shooting too would be, it would space the floor a little bit more. He's a better shooter than AD. So I don't think the Knicks do it. I think the Knicks probably hang up the phone considering AD's injury history and recent injury too. And that's that. So we'll see what the other market is for Anthony Davis moving forward. And you're like, Isaac, why are you talking about Anthony Davis trades? I think Anthony Davis, the future of Anthony Davis over the next month is the biggest storyline for Dallas right now. I think it's bigger than I put the rise of Cooper Flagg. When you're looking at storylines right now for Dallas, I think, Cooper Flagg is an amazing storyline. But when you talk to people around the league, when you go to games right now, or when I go to games, I go to home games and you talk amongst media and different people there, the number one thing that's getting talked about the most is, well, what's AD's future? well, is AD going to be here? Like, what are they going to do with AD? The other question is like, who's calling the shots right now? How long is Dumont going to do this with Riccardi and Finley and Cuban and, Kidd and these guys at the table now, this like little committee? Are the vets available for trade? It's all about Anthony Davis right now for Dallas. That's the number one storyline. What do they do with him? He's probable going into this Nuggets game. So he set out that second night of a back-to-back against the Clippers. Now he's coming back to play in Denver, which is awesome and a lot of fun with that. So yes, I want to talk in the next segment about what is the cost for going for it. For the people in the comments or the Mavs fans who have been over the past 48 hours, I guess not even that, we're past 24 hours, or even before that was in the camp of like, do not want to tank. I do not want to lose games. I'm a season ticket holder. I want to go for as many wins as possible. I want to talk about the cost of going for it right now, right after the break. This podcast is brought to you by our good friends over at Prize Picks. This episode's, sorry, read that one wrong. The holiday season is one of the best time for sports, bowl games, big basketball matchups, playoff pushes. It's all happening at once. And while we're all making choices every day, one of the most fun places to make the right call is Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the easiest way to get in on the daily fantasy. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections. Lock in your lineup and you're in the game. It's simple, fast, available in 45 states, including California, Texas, Florida, Georgia. And here's the thing. Creating a lineup takes less than a minute. I know your busy schedules out there. You're like, hey, what can I do like super fast? Yeah, it makes the whole process smooth and intuitive. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right. Thanks for making Mavs. Locked On Mavs, your first listen of the day, and for making the Locked On Sports Podcast Network the number one sports podcasting network out there. Got an update here. Got an update on the snoring dog. So if you listened to yesterday's episode, did a solo pod post game yesterday, and a couple of you in the comments, I just want to read some of the comments. Someone said, "Is it just me, or do you all hear some breathing in the background? It ain't Isaac, and it's tripping me out." This person replied back, "I hear it too. I bet he has a dog sleeping peacefully by his side as he records the pod." Another person dropped a comment and said, "I swear I can hear a snoring dog in the background. Awesome game for Coop." Update. That was my wife. So, my dog typically does lay right here a lot of times when I'm recording, and she's awesome. But listen, I'm not even going to explain our setup in which my little podcast studio is set up, but it is in our bedroom. So in it, or an extension of it. So my wife, my 32-week pregnant wife with our third kid, it was a late night, after an LA game, and she went to sleep, and I kidded her about it when I went to bed after the pod. I was like, "Hey, I could kind of hear you. I don't know if they will." And then she was getting a kick today out of the comments. So she was dying, like mortified. So thanks for the people who called her a snoring dog. All right, let's keep going with that. Not with that, but let's keep going. Yeah. So I want to talk about what's the cost of going for it. Like, if you're in the camp of, hey, I just watched a great game from Cooper Flagg. Kyrie hasn't played yet. Anthony Davis is coming back. He's getting more healthy. Can't we just go for it? Like, we're not that far out. Then we could go to the play-in. Who knows? And I think my thing is, like, if you are in that camp, then you got to really go for it, right? Like, if you're going to decide to go for it and give up one of those top draft picks this year, then don't you have to like fully commit to like making even more win now trades? Because you're not going to have another shot. Like, I mean, you are going to like forfeit your draft pick next year. You're going to not have control of this pick for the next 4 or 5 years. So don't you feel like you just really go for it? Like, because if you're going to like go for it and not tank and not sell off players, what's the purpose of just kind of like, hey, we're not going to sell, we're not going to be a seller and we're not going to lose games on purpose and just see where we land. Okay. And then you're going to get the 13th pick in the draft. And so like, I feel like if you're in the camp of going for it, then you got to be like really, really going for it. And then what's your ceiling? I think that's the question that I ask back of like, what's the ceiling? Do you think that they have enough shooting right now to compete with people in the Western Conference? Do you think they have enough playmaking on the team? Because when I look at it and say, hey, they're 6-15, what's the ceiling for it standing wise? I don't think that they're getting anywhere close. If they just said right now we're committing and without like truth serum, all right, and they're saying we're committing to winning as many games as possible, Kyrie's going to come back, all the things. Call me a pessimist, but I don't think you're getting anywhere close to the top 6, which is OKC, the Lakers, Houston, Denver, San Antonio, and Minnesota. I just don't think you're that type of team. I think you are struggling that much with playmaking and shooting on your roster. And of course, injury history for you to be confident right now to climbing out of a hole of being 6-15 right now. So then that puts your ceiling at, hey, can you make a play-in spot? And I've seen people throughout that. They're like, hey, they're only 2.5 games back from the 10th spot. Congrats. Like, is that what you want to? You want to land at the 10th spot? These are the teams in the play-in right now: Phoenix, Golden State, Portland, Memphis. Am I convinced that all 4 of those teams are that much better than Dallas? No, I'm not. Are you saying that Dallas could catch Memphis in that 10th spot, or Portland could fall back? They're only 3 games up on Dallas. Sure. I mean, Golden State's a little bit more. I mean, they're 5 games up on Dallas at that point. So could you have a really good season, finish 9th, maybe 8th in the Western Conference and make the play-in? Yeah, you could do that. So then just play it out through your head at that point. What's the pro of that? Is giving up that draft pick and not selling off some of the vets to get other assets on your team? Is it worth giving that up? Is that the cost for you to get Cooper Flagg, one play-in atmosphere? Like, I would almost argue that playing in the NCAA tournament in the Final Four in Elite Eight is just as big of a stage as a play-in game. So I don't know if that's worth the cost to quote unquote go for it and then end up with the 14th pick. I'm sorry. And let's say everything does go right and you get to the play-in and you land at 9 or 10 and you win 2 games to get to the NBA playoffs, and then you get to face OKC. And then you're probably playing 4 to 5 games. And then it's a wrap. So you got to say here and convince me that those 4 to 5 games of getting mopped by OKC probably is worth it for the development of Cooper to give up a top draft pick, to give up future assets that you could get from some of these vets right now. It feels weird taking this stance because I have historically been in the camp of, I just don't think we should tank. I don't like the I don't know. It's just, you call me the old part of my soul of you can't sit here and convince me just to lose games and all this stuff. It's just kind of how the NBA is works now. It's the best option for them. So is it worth it? Because I think that's the go. I think the going for it, going all in, not tanking, not losing, I think that is the ceiling. If everything goes right for them, is for them to make the play-in, play 1 or 2 games. And if you're lucky, you get in to face OKC and then you're getting swept or maybe in 5 games. I think that's the ceiling for this team right now. And that's if you go for it and things go right. There's also the scenario in which you go for it and you continue going all in for it and you commit to trying not to lose games and then you don't make any selling type of moves and then you miss the play-in altogether. Shout out the Clippers, the Pelicans. These two teams are two of the worst teams in the Western Conference. They don't even have their picks. All right. Pelicans is a pick swap with Atlanta or Brooklyn and, or Atlanta or Milwaukee. Clippers pick goes to OKC. Do you want to be in that spot to where you kind of like go for it and they don't make the play in and now you're at like pick 10 or 11? You're like, what was this for? Because you had a little bit more competitive games in March. So that's what I'm saying. It's like, I think the cost weighs much more. It is much more than like trying to go for it, or like a play-in game experience for a Cooper Flagg, or if everything goes right, to get swept in the first round by OKC. I think, and all of that considered, plus this is your one chance to get a draft pick for the next 4 or 5 years to go with Cooper Flagg. I think that right there tells you the path that they have to go down. And if you're still not convinced, come back for the third segment, because I'm about to walk through some other similar situations of teams that have had young stars on their, like they draft the young stars, and what they do to build around them and what they haven't done in some situations. Coming up right after the break. This podcast is brought to you by FanDuel. Has this FanDuel thing been up the entire second segment? I think so at this point. With FanDuel, man, I already said it, but earlier, the Denver, the Denver series here, or the Denver game on Monday night, they are a 10.5 favorite over Dallas. So if you're confident in the Anthony Davis coming back against Jokic, playing another game, you're confident in Cooper Flagg right now, then Dallas is the place to go. If NBA is not your thing, then NFL is your way to go there. It's one play. Suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're just not watching the game. You're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum, swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. Guys, let's go. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you.
Shut it down! Let's go home!
All right, let's talk about some situations of some teams that have drafted some young players. And you're like, Isaac, you're so all in on tanking this year and going for that top draft pick. You say it's so important. Do we have any examples of that? I want you to look at what's happening in Detroit right now. So you look at Cade Cunningham in Detroit. They take him super high in his draft, and then Detroit's one of the best teams in the league right now. And I just want you to look at, you get a guy like Cade Cunningham, you get him first overall, and you're like, all right, we're going to build around this playmaker. We're going to build around this stud. Like, he is a top draft pick. We want to build around this guy. You know what you get after that? They were so bad after that they get the following players: Jaden Ivey, Asar Thompson. They make a trade for Jalen Duren and Ron Holland. They get 4 lottery picks after drafting Cade Cunningham to go around Cade Cunningham. And I mean, how much of these players right now would you say is responsible for how good Detroit is right now? Asar Thompson, Jalen Duren, Ron Holland. I mean, come on. Like, Jaden Ivey hasn't even played yet, and they might use him to trade off to get an even better piece. So my point with that is, you start looking at the up and coming, teams in the league, and you're like, all right, what's a common denominator with a lot of these young teams? Now, there are some outliers, right? There are some outliers, but look at some of these young teams and how they get to the status in which they're at with the young player that they have. And Detroit is one of those things, one of those situations of, you get Cade and then look at the lottery picks that they got after him. One of the things they used to always get me was when, early on in Trey and Luka's careers, which, shout out to when that was a debate. That was funny. Debate for some people. It was never a debate. But when people used to comp Luka and Trey, and they used to bring up some of Trey's playoff success, and they get to that conference finals that one time, and it's like, well, yeah, look at the draft picks that is around Trey Young right now. Luka was so good early on. The thing that Dallas had to miss out on, but man, it would have changed so much, is when they traded up a few spots to get Luka Doncic, they traded that next year pick, that 2019 pick, first round pick. And they said they put like a top 10, I think, protection on it. Wasn't top 5. I don't think it was top 5. Anyway, it was one of those. And they put that protection on, basically giving them next year's pick to move up to get Luka. You do that any day of the week to get Luka Doncic, 100%. But they gave up their one chance, right? Because you get one bad year. Luka gets one bad year his rookie year, and then he's so good, you don't get these opportunities anymore. So for all of the first part there of Luka's early in his career, we're like, crap, they were so good early on. They didn't have the other like lottery picks to build around him. In theory, it should have been a Dennis Smith Jr., but Dennis just wasn't good enough, didn't fit next to Luka. So that's the thing with some of these young stars, is they're so good so early, when really you need these other young players to build around them with. So with Trey, he had all these other first round picks, these lottery picks with him. And I was like, oh, man, that's kind of like not fair. They get other building blocks. Let's keep going. So you have Cade in the league right now. You look at another team, you're like, hey, what's another up and coming team that everybody's like super high on right now? Oh, ding, ding, ding. San Antonio. They got Wemby. Like, this is awesome. Wembanyama. Well, guess who else they have around him? Devin Vassell, another lottery pick. You get right after him, you get Stephon Castle, you get Sohan, you get Dylan Harper. They move up from 8 to number 2 in this last Cooper Flagg draft. Now you're surrounding Wemby with these guys that are impacting winning and is making this team being one of those up and coming teams. It's not just Wemby. They are good in one of the top 6 teams in the league because they have a Stephon Castle, because they have a Devin Vassell. And when you have these other young players on cheaper contracts that are already really good, it allows you to go get a De'Aaron Fox. Another example of that, you get to Houston Rockets. They draft Jalen Green at 2nd overall. What happens? They get to ship him off for Kevin Durant because they have other draft picks, high draft picks in the lottery of Amen Thompson. You get Tari Eason, Jabari Smith, Reed Shepherd, who's playing well. They make the trade for Şengün from OKC, which was just crazy to think about. That OKC literally had the Şengün pick and was like, hey, we kind of just don't need like a body right now. We'll trade the rights to Şengün to you guys if you just give us a future first round pick. Now he's awesome. All these players they acquired on draft night are drafted. They're a good team right now. So, I mean, should I keep going? You look at Orlando, you look at Franz, you look at Jalen Suggs, you look at Paolo, you look at Anthony Black, like multiple. I mean, we can continue going. A young team, a young up and coming team that everybody is like super high on right now, even though they've struggled. You can even go back a little bit further, back to Clay's best friend, Ja Morant. And it's like they get Jaren Jackson Jr. one year, they turn around the next year, they get one more chance at it, and they get Ja Morant, and they pair those two together, and then they have some success, right? Not a ton, but they're a good basketball team because it wasn't just Jaren Jackson Jr. They got the other prospect in Ja Morant. And you're like, Isaac, why are you going through all of this? And I say that because if you have a young stud in a Cooper Flagg, you have to take advantage of that and go get another young stud to go with him if you can. And you have one opportunity to do that. One chance. You don't have your draft pick or control of your draft pick. You don't have your draft pick next year and then you swap it with the best team in the league then the year after that. And then you don't have your draft pick and then you make another swap after. Like you don't have another chance at this. This is why it is the right move to make. And you're like, all right, well, who are you going to target? If you sacrifice this 1 year because of where you're at now, like you can honestly kind of make this case before the season even started, but I'm not going to go that far, but it's where you are right now. 6-15. The cost of a Darren Peterson pairing with Cooper Flagg or a Mikal Brown or AJ DeBonsa or a Caleb Wilson, like the cost of giving that up is not a cost that I'm willing to give Like, I think that would help propel your team moving forward. Of you get a point guard to pair alongside Cooper Flagg for the next decade, or you get to form your own version of what Boston, did in Boston. Of all right, who's our Jaylen Brown, or who's our other young wing to go alongside Cooper? Like, can you imagine Cooper Flagg and AJ Dumont on the same team? Holy crap! So it's like, all right, what's the alternative? Like, what's the cost of tanking? Like, Isaac, you sold me on that. What's the cost of it? Well, you're going to lose some games. What? You're going to lose some fans? I think right now you're trying to instill hope in fans to bring fans back. I literally just talked to a buddy of mine today that I haven't talked about the Mavs for a long time. And I went up to him and I was like, dude, what about that Cooper Flagg game last night? His first response to me, he goes, dude, I don't follow the Mavs anymore. I'm like, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I'm still excited about Cooper. He's like, I'm happy for you, but I just don't follow him anymore. That killed all my fandom. There's so many people like that out there. And I mean, I get it. I respect it. The Mavs I think the number one thing right now is instilling this hope that we're going to get back to the Mavs that you fell in love with. And I think the number one thing that instills the most hope right now is the idea of another young prospect to form this duo with Cooper Flagg going forward into the future. So if you go the tanking route and you sell off some pieces, what are you going to do? You're going to, like, Cooper gets the ball more and is more aggressive, like the Clippers game. Sign me up for that. Like, even if they're losing games for the rest of the year. So I think when you look at the other contenders, I know I'm running along on time. You look at other people in the league that are tanking right now. That's another thing of, like, I think I would become a seller earlier than later. I think I would go for it earlier than later because, you look at the Pelicans and Clippers at the bottom, but I already talked about that. Like, they don't have control of their picks this year. So they're going to be trying to probably move up, even though it's not really helping them right now. The Jazz have their first round pick is top 8 protected. So they're going to want to lose games to make sure they're in the top 8. The Kings are the Kings. Who knows what they're going to do? The Grizz and Blazers right now are kind of just like that middle of the pack stuff. Your biggest competition, I think, is in the East as far as tanking is Washington, Brooklyn, Indiana, Charlotte. So I think right now, I don't even think it's a debate. I think you sell and you lose games, and it sucks to say that, but I think it is the only smart, logical move there is. And I feel like you just got to do it for the future of the franchise, for where you got a guy like Cooper and the fact that you have this one chance, this 1 year. It's not like, hey, we're just going to keep on losing for years and years and years to get more draft picks, which that's what a lot of these teams have been doing. It is a 1 year sell to Cooper, to Kyrie, to your fan base of like, hey, this is 1 year. And you can't say it out loud. I get that. But this is a 1 year thing of like, we're going to bring in another top pick into this system to pair with Cooper moving forward. And then we're going to start building this thing up. Anyway, there you go. Probably got a little too passionate about that, but I really don't see the other argument right now of like air quote going for it. Watch the Mavericks go win the title and then this gets clipped and shared into oblivion for the next 3 decades. There you go. We'll be back for a post-game pod coming up after the Nuggets game. It will for sure be Nick, and then we'll see on the status of Slightly myself. Peace out. Boom. No snoring dog tonight.